Hello and welcome to Confused Reviews, where a cartoon drawing reviews movies, and after a couple weeks of torturous attacks from a burn victim and a nail-covered demon, I remembered last year's adventures of being attacked by a toy, crossing over with a hat-wearing Australian, and then fighting Jason himself. And now it's time to bounce back to a very popular franchise, Friday the 13th, and more specifically, the sequel we left off on, Part 7's The New Blood. Telling the continuous story of Jason Voorhees, the guy with more sequels under his belt than the Leprechaun and Candyman combined, as he returns for the first movie in a while with no Tommy Jarvis, instead opting for a CARRIE ripoff. And I'm sure if you're a casual to the franchise, you may be wondering why they decided on that gimmick for this installment. And allow me to explain. The year is 1988. Freddy and Jason are dominating the slasher genre, and studio executives saw major potential pairing the two up for a movie. And that movie was meant to be Part 7, but each other's studios couldn't agree on a deal, so they instead scrapped the idea and instead did a Jason vs. Telekinesis instead, before teasing it in 94 and actually doing it in 03. But I'm sure you already know the story to this movie, as most of you know this franchise is fucking gospel, so let's jump into the 7th entry and see how it compares to an 80s version of what FVJ could have been. This is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. So the film begins with... Ah, crap, I kicked the plug. Anyways, the film begins with the series By the Numbers recap, narrated by Crazy Ralph himself.
Some have even tried to stop him. No one can.
Except low box office returns. We also get a plain white text on a black background opening title sequence, but after all that, we hop down
Under the sea.
and see our favorite maniac hockey player is still dead after Tommy killed him and Jason lives. And we see Tommy Jarvis again, who... Huh? Where's the footage? Right, I forgot. Tommy isn't given any resolution or mention in Part 7 besides this prologue, which sucks, but wonder how he is in the game. Anyways, we see a young Tina, played by Jennifer Banco, who's listening in on some wholesome family banter.
Please don't drink anymore.
Don't tell me what to do.
And she decides she wants to do some night fishing and is chased after by her dad, played by John Autran, who she then kills with her mind powers. That's gonna make Thanksgiving dinner really awkward. We flash forward to the present, which is now 30 years ago, and we see Tina is now of legal drinking age, and now played by Lar Park Lincoln. And her mom, played by Susan Blue, who are returning to her childhood home to see a doctor about her special abilities. And we stroll up to the umpteenth house that borders Crystal Lake, and we see Dr. Bernie, I mean Dr. Cruz, played by Terry Kiser. Oh, and real quick, there's Sandra, played by Heidi Kozak, the bitch Melissa, played by Susan Sullivan, and Nick, played by Kevin Blair. And after a quick matchbook magic trick, she has a heart-to-heart with her mom, but storms out at the sight of Cruz, and while outside, brings Jason back to life like a real idiot, who looks a lot less like CJ Graham and a lot more like Kane motherfucking Hodder. And looking more badass than ever before as he emerges from the lake, showing an exposed spine, unrepairable clothes, and just looks overall badass. But enough of that, there's Jane and Michael, played by Stacey Greason and Will Butler respectively, who are having some car troubles, and then this happens.
He's already here.
What are you talking about?
This is supposed to be a surprise party for your birthday. Everybody's waiting for us to show up.
Way to ruin the surprise, asshole. Anyways, after taking a quick piss break, Jane gets killed mostly off screen, while Mikey is caught by a thrown knife and thrown away. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the end of it. In my new game I like to call How Did the MPAA Fuck Up the New Blood, I'll reveal some spicy secrets from the original work print of the movie. Like, for instance, Michael's kill originally had him being picked up all the way by Jason and held up in the air for a while before being disposed of. And if you think that's bad, well... Just wait and see. Back at the party, we see Eddie, played by Jeff Bennett, who's a sci-fi dork, and there's also Mandy and Robin, played by Diana Barrows and Elizabeth Caton, as well as the aforementioned Sandra and her bitch boy Russell, played by Larry Cox. Oh, and Melissa shows off her amazing acting chops.
Hi, Melissa.
What?
Hi, Melissa.
Huh?
Hi, Melissa.
Melissa?
Hi, Melissa.
Melisso?
Hi, Melissa.
The fuck is she saying?
Hi, Melissa.
She's about as subtle with her bitchiness as George Costanza is with women.
Would you like to come upstairs for some coffee?
Oh, no, thanks. I can't drink coffee late at night. It keeps me up.
Tina sees a vision of the previous kill and scurries off, and back in the forest, Dan and Judy, played by Michael Schroeder and Deborah Kessler, is just there. And Dan heads off to get more firewood, but instead just gets killed anyway. Oh, and the original death has him become the second victim after Alan to be punched directly through the chest, but I guess this chopped up mess works too. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the sleeping bag murder. One of the best kills of the franchise, where Jason slams a girl who tried to hide in her sleeping bag up against a fucking tree. Not only is it brutal, but it shows Hodder's sheer strength and is amazing. The original cut had him slam it several times, which again, Hodder's fucking jacked. Oh, and real quick, there's Ben and Kate, played by Craig Thomas and Diane Almeida, but in more important matters, Nick and Tina are just throwing rocks. Guys, you're supposed to skip them. Just tossing them in the water is fucking retarded. Anyways, Melissa snoops in on their dull conversation and is somehow unseen even though her shirt is visible right fucking there. She has another meeting with Dr. Dipshit, and Tina throws a TV at him for being in Weekend at Bernie's too. And we get some usual skinny dipping shenanigans, and Russell is asked a question by the J-Man. Oh, and this is probably the kill that pisses me off the most, knowing how it originally went down. Originally, you see everything, including a giant fucking gash going up Russell's face, and it looks amazing. Oh, and Sandra is pulled under the water in the most Jaws-like kill of the franchise. Back with Miss Shepard, she finds Cruz's really vague notes and freaks out on him, only for Tina to overhear and take the car out to go get a pizza or something. In reality, she sees a vision of her mom on the chopping block and proves to have the same driving skills as Dwight trying to save Michael. Back with this movie's discount Velma, she tries revamping her image and ends up running from Jason into a barn, and actually does a decent job trying to escape, but come on, you know what happens. We also see David, played by John Renfield, is having, intimate relations with Robin, while in the van, Ben and Kate are also doing the nasty. And as you know, Jason can smell that shit from a campground away, and has a whole fuck-fay of 25-year-old teenagers to pick from. But Ben has had 45 seconds of screen time, so he's gotta die. Jason grabs him and crushes his head like a fucking watermelon. Oh, and in a close second to my anger-inducing MPAA cutout, you can originally see Ben's head get squished to the size of a goddamn Tic Tac. Oh, and Kate is killed. Whatever. Back with Eddie and Melissa, she just proves to be one of the series' biggest cunts as she rejects Eddie.
Why'd you lie?
You know? Make him jealous?
Rejection. Okay.
Aw, Eddie, I'm sorry, man. And in your defense, I'd rather see you pull through than this bitch. Anywho, Tina and Nick find the birthday boy's corpse, and as this rejected member of the Outsiders heads to find a snack, he finds a one-way ticket to Deathville instead. Back with Tina and her boy toy, they find out it was Jason Voorhees in the lake, after an hour of movie. Better late than never, I suppose. And, Eddie's, deceased. And, yeah. This too. Batman's sidekick then does some investigating, and after doing it very slowly, she's startled by a cat. Oh, and she eventually realizes that Jason was ahead of everything, and decides to let her live up to her name, and fly. In the woods, Miss Shepard and Cruz are having a little tiffy, and Jason pops out of stage left and makes chase. He catches up with ease, and Cruz uses her as a fucking human shield. What an asshole. And since he exhibited that bitch-like behavior, Jason appears with a weed whacker that he must have gotten from the Home Depot Crystal Lake outlet, and gives Cruz his own little routine physical. Oh, and yeah, as you'd expect, the extended deaths for both Amanda and Cruz are both way better. And a quick fun fact, this is the only time in the series Jason uses a motorized weapon, which I'm sure makes Leatherface all kinds of disappointed, but JJ was always into close quarter combat. Back to the Carrie vs. Jason fight, he's attacked by the evil trees from the Evil Dead, only to be electrocuted and then take a dip in some shit water. But Jason's not into mid-movie naps, and springs back to life, only to channel his inner Kool-Aid Man for a badass moment.
Oh yeah!
And she then uses her inner 11 powers just to throw a plant with a head inside it that would make Bob Ross proud.
And just beat the devil out of him.
We see that Awning was not up to code and crushes Jason. She jolts back to the house only for Melissa to be a bitch, but thankfully it's her final time doing so, as Jay shows back up to create an NES game cover and smash her in the face with an axe. They then run upstairs and Tina throws Jason into Harry Potter's bedroom. He bounces back and tries to kill Nick, but Tina decides that mask is so last season and begins crushing it. And you can see the green tube pumping out the liquid, but anyways, his mask pops off and he looks terrifying. Everyone knows this is the best looking Jason by a long shot, and the amount of effort the team put into it is stunning. It looks like someone who's been through 4 movies of getting the shit kicked out of him. She tosses Jason into the basement, only for Jason to pull her down with him, and as you can see, Jason is fucking pissed. Tina then nails him, literally, and catches him on fire. This scene is amazing. We then find out the house must have been filled with fucking dynamite as it explodes, and the J-Man then returns and decommissions an already useless Nick. And then Tina just revives her dad, who looks like Emmett from 10 Cloverfield Lane, who grabs Jason and pulls him underwater. What? At least in the work print, her dad was supposed to look like Jack Skellington and not some PA who got dirt slapped on his face and thrown onto the camera. This ending is fucking weird. Finally, we see Jason's broken mask and Tina being carted off to fight Michael Myers at the hospital in the part 2. Another fun fact, in our final installment of this game, there was an alternate ending where some fisherman is pulled underwater by a still alive Jason, which I wish they would have used because it's fucking hilarious, but of course, they didn't. And that was Friday the 13th part 7, The New Blood, and I really like it. Obviously, the biggest plus for this movie is Jason himself. He looks absolutely amazing, and the makeup and performance makes this one of, if not the best portrayal of the franchise. Kane Hodder well deserves the praise he gets for playing him, as he's one with the character, but also props to the people who worked on the makeup and design of this movie, because it's great. Tina's pretty solid as a lead, and even though I wish Tommy Jarvis would have continued, she did a fine job and carried the movie. I harped on Melissa, sure, but the fact that Susan Sullivan could make me hate her character more than a fucking murderer that killed a bunch of people, she gets major brownie points for me. Plus, Cruz was good as a dipshit who was only concerned about himself and met a fitting end. The bad of this movie is the lack of developed characters. I mean, there wasn't one Crispin Glover dancing scene, and that's a no-go for me. Plus, the very ending was shaky at best, and could have used a little work. That would have been a good time for Freddy Krueger to jump out of the lake and grab Jason, instead of that bullshit we got in Jason Goes to Hell. But if you would have asked me a few years ago, I would have also thrown in the fact that the kills of this movie are toned way down from the previous entries, but seeing the deleted footage, I can't fault the movie for the MPAA fucking over their hard work. But overall, I love this Friday flick, and its awesome Jason with a unique concept places this movie at my 3rd favorite of the franchise. And I'm going to give Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, an A-, because it's awesome in a lot of ways, but lack of good Jason bait knocks it down quite a bit. But I still recommend it for all 4 of you that haven't seen it. It's nice to have an uninterrupted review for once.
Are you really that stupid? You woke up Jason again.
What? No, I didn't. Yeah, when you plugged that light back in, those cheap lightning effects brought him back. The fuck he is? Hey, corpse face. I don't have time to deal with this. That's for making Jason X. Anyways, I dodged a big time bullet back there. I'm Confused Reviews. Thanks for watching.